All of the reports, all of the feedback we've been getting, it's been the best supported strike we've ever had. It's reached parts of the civil service that have never reached before. Scottish Parliament, the Met Police, the Palace of Westminster. I suspect there's a few MPs, a few more MPs in London crossing the picket lines than there are in Scotland. But nevertheless, the support from the membership has been overwhelming and wonderful. And I also want to thank the other unions here today. I think it's really good, and I hope it shows the future of how we are going to have to work together to defend and support public services. Because if we let everyone fight by themselves, then we'll be defeated by ourselves. We do need to unite and work together, and hopefully this is the shape of things to come. But I just want to start off really by reassuring you, it's not your fault. I know you've been having sleepless nights, lying there thinking about how overpaid you are, the fat pensions you get, the big bonuses you receive just before you put on your bowler hats and walk down to the office. I know that's the picture that you have in your minds, but it isn't really your fault, this financial crisis. And you can understand a bit in Iceland, and I'm in the country rather than the supermarket. I can understand why the people there were so angry about being asked to pay for the cost of the financial crisis. Because what happened, the bankers gambled with other people's money, they lost, and then they're asking ordinary people to pay. And although it's transparent in Iceland what the problem is, it's exactly the same here. They gambled with other people's money, lost, and then they're expecting the public servants, the ordinary people, to pay the price of what they're doing. And not only that, they've got the cheek to say that unless you cut public services, we're going to go on an investment strike, or we'll have a run on your currency to make sure that you do cut public services. And worse than that, these are the very same people who owe this country, who've done an Ashcroft, who owe this country over £120 billion of unpaid tax, of tax avoidance, of tax evasion. And they have the nerve to say that you must cut your salaries, your jobs, so that you can pay off our debt. So why are we on strike? You know why we're on strike, but I want to give you 3 good reasons why the strike is so important. And first, it's just daylight robbery, what they're trying to do to you. They're taking away your rights, they're ripping up your contracts, discounting your service, cutting the max of the compensation that you can get from 3 to 2 years by a third. It affects about 250,000 civil servants who are going to be worse off, potentially by thousands and thousands of pounds. But also it's just wrong. Actually, we think it's illegal. Last Friday we lodged the papers for a judicial review. They're trying to change the law that governs the pension scheme of civil servants without debate in Parliament and without our agreement. And that's what we think the law requires. But secondly, we want an agreement. But we don't think that the court action is going to give it to us. It might tell them they've gone about it the wrong way, but it won't solve the actual agreement that we need. We need to resolve the issue, we need to have negotiations, we need to make sure there can be a proper and fair settlement for this dispute. The third good reason for taking strike action now is the time for us to act. There's a window of opportunity with this government before the general election. They also want to introduce it from the 1st of April, the new compensation scheme. So not only is now a good time to act, we have to act now before the scheme is introduced. And this is not just a protest about the civil service compensation scheme. It's a dispute about the future. As some people have already said, what they're doing now is clearing the decks for the next government. They're trying to make it easy for the next government to make it cheap, quick and easy to get rid of jobs. And it's no coincidence that the existing scheme ends on 2011 when the current spending review comes to an end. All of the new public expenditure cuts will come into operation when the new terms come fully into operation, and that's no coincidence. But not only is this fight about the future and protecting jobs in the civil service, it is about defending public services. First they came for your jobs. 100,000 jobs went. Then they came for your pensions, and we had to stand together to protect pensions. And now they've come for the compensation scheme. And what do they want to do next? They want to do it all over again. They want to come back for your jobs, your pension, and for your compensation scheme all over again. So we need to win. It's not just about protecting the compensation scheme. We need a negotiated settlement that protects the future of the civil service and protects your jobs. But there's been a few lies, damn lies, and Cabinet Office statements going around about what's going on in this dispute. And I just get a bit fed up, to use a polite word, about permanent secretaries lecturing me about democracy. I don't think they'd recognise a ballot form if it hit them in the face. But today is the answer to them. The thousands and thousands and thousands of PCS members have taken action shows that what the action the PCS has called is democratic, is supported by our members, and does genuinely reflect the views of our union. And these permanent secretaries who sit there lecturing us, sitting on their big salaries, and when are they at risk of being made redundant? Perhaps after the election. On what terms will they go? On the existing terms. They're the terms that they go on if they were made redundant. And what they're doing at the moment is trying to railroad through a new scheme for the next government, which I think they privately hope will be a Tory government, to try and ensure that they can get rid of jobs quickly and easily. And they're using the 5 unions who've accepted the agreement as propaganda. And it was a shame. I was doing radio interviews this morning, and virtually every interviewer said, what about the other 5 unions? They are not the issue. We represent the overwhelming majority of civil servants. We represent the low-paid, ordinary civil servant who is at risk, the people who were made redundant in the last set of cuts, and the people who are at risk of being made redundant in the next set of cuts. And we need a settlement not just for the money. We need a settlement to make sure that there is fair process. And I want to give a warning to the government that this dispute will run. If necessary, if they don't come back to the negotiating table after tomorrow, there'll be more action in March. And I have a vision. I have this sort of idea, which we were talking about. It's budget day. Alistair Darling gets up and the whole civil service walks out, just to give him a little warning and to say, we know what he's going to say, isn't it? It'll be cuts, more cuts in the civil service, and haven't they done well to cut the compensation scheme? We're going to have to demonstrate, if necessary, on more than one occasion, that they need to come back to the negotiating table. And there is, and reference has been made to it, a general election coming up. And we've got members in each and every constituency. We've got to multiply. We've got to go out there and talk to our friends and our family and our colleagues. We need to make sure that tomorrow is bigger and better than today. But also when it comes to the general election, it's not just the 500,000 civil servants' votes that are at stake. It's the 2 million of your friends and family who aren't wanting to support those who want to cut public services. They want to try and make sure that there is a good public service for the future. And that is our message. It isn't the narrow message of the compensation scheme. It is about supporting public services. And we think this government and any future government should support those who believe in public services, who want public services, who work for public services, and not support those who can afford to do without them, which is what they seem to be doing at the moment. This is an offer we can refuse. This is an offer we must refuse. We've had 6 final offers so far. Each one, we've got a better one, each time as a result of PCS pressure. And probably they're offers that other unions would have accepted. But this one gives about 5 or 10% people better off. 30-40%, you've not had a cut in your compensation scheme terms. 50%, it's a real lasting cut forever. And that's a real detriment. That's 250,000 civil servants, and we cannot allow that to happen. But it isn't just about terms. The new agreement also, or the new non-agreement, also means about the management being able to pick and choose. What the new scheme does is give to management almost total discretion about who goes, when they go, what terms they go on, and in what circumstance. It's not just about the terms being worse, it means that management can, not linked to the protocols, play fast and loose with people's jobs and the public services. So I want to thank you for being here, thank you for taking action.